is time for us to talk about the USA Showcase. USA went against Canada yesterday and won 86-72. I'm going to tell you everything that I saw from the starting lineup to the bench, kind of some changes that I could see being made as they keep playing together and progressively getting chemistry, and how confident I feel about us getting gold. First things first, I almost cried when Steph threw that lob for LeBron during the showcase. I was ready to start crying because to see them both sharing the court for competing for gold, it is something that we're going to look back on and really understand how special it is. And I know a lot of people are like, look, the old guys need to go to the bench. They need to come off. They need to be on the second unit. Let the young guys get it. Let me tell you something. When the greatest shooter we have ever seen and LeBron James get that chemistry, understanding where each other are, this is going to change the dynamic of what we're seeing. What we saw in the showcase is not peak Team USA just yet. Defensively, I felt really good about what I saw. Offensively, turnovers, sloppiness, still trying to get acquainted with each other. But once these two lock in and then you add KD, who leads USAB in scoring in the history of it, we're going to be exactly where we need to be. Now on to important business. I want AD in the starting lineup. Simple as that. I've seen enough. He had a double-double. He had 4 blocks. He had more blocks than the entire Canada team had. I've seen enough. Offensively and defensively, I want AD in the starting lineup going forward. That is no offense to Joel Embiid. He didn't play great in this showcase. I do think he is still getting acquainted with how FIBA rules are. It's a little bit more physical. There's not a lot of fouls being called, which I think he's a little bit used to in the NBA. He fouled out in 12 minutes. I don't know if he did not know that in FIBA rules, it's 5 fouls and you're out, not 6 like the NBA. So maybe he's just getting acquainted, but I also saw enough of him being in that starting lineup to know that he needs to be coming off the bench. The starting lineup was LeBron, Steph, Jrue Holiday, Devin Booker, and Joel Embiid. There's some changes that need to be made there, and the first one that we're doing is putting Joel Embiid on the bench. That brings us to Anthony Edwards, and right now everyone is petitioning for him to be in the starting lineup, which he played amazing. He was that spark, but I'm going to tell you exactly why I don't think he should be starting. I understand that Anthony Edwards is one of the best basketball players on the planet. I know what we all saw. He is special. He had the aggressiveness. He was getting people involved, had some turnovers, just some sloppiness. But overall, he played amazing in this showcase. And I know for everyone, you're like, Steve Kerr, put him in the lineup. But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. For the sake of this and how this Olympic team is stacked, him being the 6th man is going to be the most perfect thing for us. I'm telling you that now. I know what we all saw, but bigger picture, having Anthony Edwards be your 6th man, say that in a sentence. Like, think about that. Hey, yeah, Anthony Edwards is my 6th man. What? That means that we are never going to be out of a game if he is anchoring and leading that second unit. And yes, I am going to make the comparison that his role would be almost exactly like Wade. It would be. I know everyone's going to bring up the infamous quote during the World Cup team that they had when Steve Kerr told Anthony Edwards, hey, you might have to come off the bench, because he wasn't starting on that initial World Cup team that, hey, Dwayne Wade came off the bench when Kobe played, and Anthony Edwards in Anthony Edwards fashion said, we don't have a Kobe. Well, this Olympic team, we do have a LeBron James, we do have a Steph Curry, and we do have a KD, so it's okay if he's coming off the bench in this regard. I am going to tell you who I think should be in the starting lineup when it really comes to us really getting chemistry and seeing how the flow of the game is going to go for this Olympic team. Obviously, I have Steph and Bron being in that starting lineup. Obviously, I have KD in that starting lineup as well. So right now we have Steph, LeBron, and KD. That means we have 2 more spots here to add into a starting lineup that I think would be amazing for USAB. I'm adding Anthony Davis to that starting lineup. So that means we have Steph, Bron, KD, and AD in that 5th spot, depending on your preference of how you would want your offense to run and your defense. I'm going to tell you who I'm giving that 5th spot to. That 5th spot, I'm giving to Jrue Holiday. Now, for some people, you might disagree with this, but I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing from preference, okay? I need a point guard on the floor. I understand that LeBron James can play point guard. We all know that. But I would like the luxury of knowing I have a real, pure point guard on the floor who defensively can go out there and do what needs to be done, offensively get everyone involved, but also having the balance to know when they got to go get theirs. I would like Jrue Holiday having that 5th spot, having him at the 1, then having Steph at the 2. You can start mixing around the 3, 4, and the 5. Obviously, AD would have to be the 5. And then depending on how you're seeing it, I would have Bron at the 3 and then having KD at the 4, depending on how you're looking at your matchups. But that would be my starting lineup. I would go Steph, LeBron, KD, AD, and Jrue Holiday. Now, if you're thinking on the flip end of preference, I would give you an alternate that I could see taking that 5th spot. I would entertain the idea of Jayson Tatum being in that starting lineup just because of what I saw in the showcase. You could tell that he really has a size advantage over a lot of people. Against Canada, he was playing a little bully ball, bagging them down the post, getting in his bag, getting to the basket, wasn't really settling for the shots that we usually see in the season. So I like that balance. The only thing I would say that if you put Jayson Tatum in that lineup, who is going to be your ball handler? Are you putting it predominantly in Steph's hand, or are you giving it to LeBron to facilitate? That is the only thing that I would question, where you would have to have a pure point guard, especially in that starting lineup. Overall, I feel pretty decent about what I saw against Canada. We're not there just yet, but defensively was the one thing that I was a little bit worried about, which I think a lot of people were worried about. Would we be able to guard through all positions and be aggressive? And the defense is there. I like our bench. We are a deep team, obviously. We have a lot of length and a lot of size. The ball handling is the only thing I'm trying to really figure out. I do like Tyrese Halliburton. I know that was a conversation when it came to selection time. Why was Jalen Brunson not in it? Tyrese Halliburton is a really good point guard in this system offensively that they are needing someone to facilitate. He wasn't rushing his shot, wasn't really hunting it, but was really getting everyone involved, which was great to see. So I am ready to see what that looks like with the addition of Derek White as well. Just having more ball handling on the floor to facilitate all these scores, that's a big deal. You have to have guys that are knowing, hey, I might not be the guy that has to score 20-30, but I might could get this other guy 20-30 and this guy 20-30. And before you know it, if 3 of us got 20 or 30, we riding off in the sunset with a gold medal. So I like that strategy works. I like our bench. It really is a deep team that we have defensively. Offensively is the only thing that comes with chemistry and time. We haven't even hit the switch of what offensively this team can do with all the scoring capability that we have. A lot of turnovers in the showcase, sloppy, getting the rust off, chemistry, missed passes just because not knowing where the guy is. But that comes in time and the more reps that they're going to get. I am excited to see what this is going to look like when it really comes down to the Olympics starting, because once it clicks offensively for this team, yeah, it might be some clean sweeps that we're seeing.